Greetings, comrades, and welcome back to the Rad Gaming Podcast. I'm Jimshi.
I guess that'd make me Pescador. And in this episode of the podcast, we interview RottenPapi, an extremely lively and optimistic streamer who shares her intense passion with retro games. She explains why opening up the chat as an individual isn't necessarily a bad thing, how to turn an anxiety into a strength rather than a weakness, and what games she would highly recommend new streamers to start out streaming.
This episode of the Rad Gaming Podcast is sponsored by Cento Fiore. Cento Fiore is a lifestyle fashion brand that sees beauty and cultural heritage and always strives to offer timeless and elegant style. Visit cento-fiore.com to join the family. That's cento-fiori.com. All right, now on to our interview with RottenPapi.
Thank you, sir, for... I can't speak! That's the first time I've ever done that. I can't believe that. That's the Red Bull speaking. Sorry.
I'm down, boy.
I might actually use that for, like, a trailer. I'm not even gonna lie. All right, sorry. Let's get back. I'm a professional, don't worry. Okay. Here we go. All right, and we're gonna start in 3, 2, 1. Yes. So thank you so much for coming on the podcast. We truly appreciate it.
No problem.
So give us a little background about yourself. Tell us what you did before you started streaming on Twitch.
Before I started streaming on Twitch, I worked at this job. I worked at a place called The Body Shop. It's a skincare kind of shop. Like, it sells body butter and makeup and stuff, and I hated it.
Yeah, it didn't sound enthused. I'm like, how did you sell anything?
I did sell stuff. I wasn't bad at selling anything, but like, I hated the job. Well, maybe not so much the job. I had a very bad boss. She went to, like, my first day, she was sleeping in the back. Like, I'm not kidding. So that was a very nice setup for what I got myself into.
I'm still shocked. I'm like sitting here with a dumbfounded look. I'm so sorry. I can't believe that.
It was bad. It was just like, I noticed I was holding my breath around my boss because I was getting, like, anxious every time she was around. And she was never around. She would just be like, I have a migraine, and leave, like, early, and then get paid for the whole day because she's on salary. So she would just fuck off. And yeah. And, like, it was a really bad environment. I had a really good assistant manager, though, but she quit. And then I was like, oh no. And there's one other girl that I liked that worked there, but she was always at school. Like, she worked maybe once a week. And I was full-time, essentially, like, kind of full-time. Like, not full-time. I was technically part-time, but I was like...
working full-time hours, basically.
Yeah. So, I was like, I have to quit. Like, I'm gonna die if I work here. Like, there's one other girl that I had to work with all the time who was just unbearable. Like, she just the stuff she talked about, it just really rubbed me the wrong way. So I decided to quit without really securing another job. And there was, like, 2 managers from the same corporation were like, oh, you could get a job at the new place, because they quit too. And they were like, you could get a job here. And then they couldn't secure me the jobs. So I didn't get those jobs, and I was like, oh, great. So then I was unemployed for 2 months. And the first month I just played so many hours of Animal Crossing, like, so much Animal Crossing. It was ridiculous. I was like, I'm gonna get that 500-hour achievement and get, like, all the badges. Like, I wanted it all. And but then I realized I was not happy just playing Animal Crossing and, like, sending out my resumes all the time. For some reason, I wasn't fulfilled. Who would have thought? So I talked to my boyfriend about it, and he was like, I don't know, you're not really working towards anything right now. You're not fulfilled. You should try streaming. Because I'd been talking about streaming since I met him and how I wanted to do it and whatever. And I tried streaming, I think, like, once before, but I was, like, really sick and, like, super high on like, cough medicine. So it didn't really go well. So then with all of my spare time, I just started streaming, and I had, like, my computer could barely run, but I was able to play Fallout 4. And so I started streaming Fallout 4 and just playing that. And then eventually I did get a job, and then I was like, I'm gonna stream forever. And then I just really threw myself into streaming.
So that was just it? You just were like, I'm going to start streaming. You started streaming Fallout 4 and it went well, or did it go bad?
Yeah, it went well. I would say, like, because I know some people are smart enough to, like, tell their family and friends, like, hey, I'm streaming, and then they can, like, boost their threshold from, like, the one viewer that is you and, like, that bot, so you have 2 viewers usually when you start. And then they boost that to, like, I don't know, like 10 people usually, and then they're like, yay, look at me, I have 10 people. But I am, like, uncomfortable all the time about people knowing what I like to do in my spare time. I'm getting better. But I was nervous about my family and friends, like, even telling them about it at the time, so I didn't do that. I just streamed it, and I would usually get 6-ish viewers, so I'd have, like, a few people coming in, and I thought, wow, that's pretty great. And then there was, like, maybe a couple streams of, like, maybe I played a little bit of Dark Souls, but it was really laggy. But there's a couple of streams that, like, one time hit 20, and I was like, wow. So, you know, I felt like it was doing pretty good. I was very excited about it. So it did well enough to keep me doing it and trying things. And just basically when I got my next job, which was at Victoria's Secret, I just, like, didn't, like, if they gave me, like, a week where I didn't have any, like, shifts, I'd be like, that's fine, I'm just gonna stream every day. So I was just very into it. I still am, but
So how did you start out with streaming? Because I don't know if did you just turn on your Twitch cam and just start streaming and playing and kind of hope for the best, or was there anything that you did leading up to that or after the fact?
No, I did buy some games on the Steam sale.
Who doesn't? My goodness.
Recommendations in winter. So, like, a few of my friends told me some, like, games I had to try to play. So that was Fallout 4, Dark Souls, and Skyrim.
Those are some good recommendations, though. Yeah,
actually, I read a thread on Twitter once where it was like, hey, don't pick, like, you know, random games when you first started streaming. Like, I would suggest starting out with these 3 games. And it was some, like, partner streamer. And I was like, that's so weird, because I happened to start with those 3 games. So I think that did help me a little bit, is because those communities are really tight-knit, and they'll just watch, like, no matter your size, they'll come over your stream and be like, hey, what's up? Because they like the game. They'll backseat like a motherfucker, but they'll be there. So that did help, but I didn't really do anything beforehand to, like, prepare me. I had just some basic equipment. I had a blue Snowball Ice microphone, this, like, garbage, like, late 2000s webcam. Like, it my face was red. I had it on, like, a weird tripod on my desk, not on my monitor, so it was an upward angle you were getting on my face, and it, like, everything was cast red. I didn't have a light, I had a lamp. I had a desk lamp that I pointed, and it actually got so hot one time, I must have streamed 8 hours, and it burnt the windowsill that it was perched on.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, but that's what I used. So that was it. And I just kind of knew how to entertain, like, a little bit, because that's something that I did for my friends growing up, is I would, like, play video games and they would watch, and I would make it, like, fun. And my brother did that for me before I did that for my friends. So I had an idea of, like, how to make it fun, you know? And that's basically always why I wanted to stream, is because I was always wanting that experience whenever I played video games. That's what the experience I wanted. But, you know, that requires friends and people with free time to just sit around and watch you play video games, which just doesn't happen when you're an adult, really, unless you have, like, a roommate or something who likes watching you play video games. But
even that's rare.
So,
yeah, that's true.
Yeah. So I don't know. That's exactly what I wanted to do. So I feel like some people, when they start streaming, don't really know how to talk yet, or, like, you know, try to be entertaining. So it takes them a little while longer to get over the curve of, like, oh, like, this is how you entertain a stream. But I didn't have that to jump over, just, like, other, like, regular, I guess, tech things. And I mean, of course I could always improve, but at least I had, like, the baseline idea of, like, oh, just narrate yourself if there's no one in chat.
who did you get that advice from? Like narrating yourself, or did you just go in there knowing that? Did you watch Twitch before you started streaming?
I did. I watched Vine Sauce. Do you know Vine Sauce? He was like my favorite.
Think I'm familiar.
Yeah, I was gonna say it doesn't ring a bell.
Oh, really? He has some really great stuff. You can look him up. He has some really funny things. But yeah, he's like he plays like weird games and a lot of like Nintendo, but like corruptions, and he had this really, really great playthrough of Tomodachi Life on the 3DS. It was so funny. It was amazing. I watched all his full streams because he streams at like weird times. He streams at like 1 a.m. my time, and I'm not up at 1 a.m. To watch a stream. So I watched them all on YouTube, and I would watch all of his stuff on YouTube while I was doing things. And when I was playing Animal Crossing, that whole time I was watching Vine Sauce. Like, I've been watching him for years. And so I knew that already, like, about talking to yourself. I did watch Hey Shady Lady made a video explaining how to talk to yourself and your entertainer chat, but I had watched that after I started streaming. So I already knew that much, because I knew that people wouldn't want to come in and watch my stream if I was just silent and like waiting for people to talk. That's like a really common mistake that new streamers do, is like, oh, I'll just wait for someone to come in and say hey before I say anything. But they're usually judging you in that first 10 seconds. They're not usually going to give you that chance of that hey first. Yeah. You just need to be trying to be entertaining. Usually pretending like people are already watching you is a good way to go about it.
I honestly agree with that, just because sometimes it doesn't register that someone pops into your chat that fast as well. And they stop in and they just see you staring straight ahead and just playing a game. And it's not really entertaining if you're not narrating yourself.
Well, what's the point of that? I mean, really. But, I should mention, I have mentioned this before, like my stream knows this, but as a kid, because I liked what my brother did for me, because I watched him play games for years. He's 7 years older than me, though, so as I got older, he got like busier. So he couldn't sit in front of me and play video games as much. So I would talk to myself while I played video games, like out loud, and my family made fun of me because I would be like narrating and making jokes to myself, because
that's just how you play games.
Yeah,
that's just how. Yeah, that's
she's been practicing for Twitch all her life, is what it was.
Yeah, basically. And I would have like in my head, I would pretend like I was like a TV show, which is so weird because this doesn't exist. And I'd be like, yeah, it's like a TV show, and I would do that. So then after my family made fun of me enough, I started just doing it in my head. And then when I was 12 years old, I got on the internet and I started looking up some stuff to do with Harvest Moon, and I saw someone doing like an actual playthrough, like a let's play where they just narrated and played, and I was like, what? People do that? And I was so excited. I wrote her like a really nice comment. My username was like Harvest Moon Lover 13.
Oh wow.
I was like, you're the best. I'm your #1 fan. This is the best video ever. And she messaged me and was like, hey, like, thank you so much. And then we talked back and forth. Her name was Nancy, and we would sometimes, YouTube had a messaging system. You could message each other. So we'd message each other on YouTube every once in a while. And I was like, this is what I'm going to do. From that point on, that like reignited, like, yeah, every time I played games, I was back on thinking like, one day I'm going to have equipment and I'm going to narrate my games and people will watch. And then I think I was 15 when I found out about Twitch streaming, and I was like, that's the career for me. That's what I want to do. I can't wait. And then essentially it was just a waiting game until I could stream.
I know you said...
What were you waiting for then? Was it
I was waiting for equipment. As a kid, we didn't have a lot of money, so I couldn't just be like, hey mom, can you spend $300 on some equipment for me? Like, no, like, unless you want to not eat. So
and you were like, okay, I can do that.
But then after I did get the equipment and I was like not streaming, because I got it on my birthday, my 19th birthday, I got a few things. I got that microphone and that I think a monitor. I don't remember what I got. I know I got the microphone. And so I was basically ready to stream. And then I was like nervous. Then I was like, oh no, like what if people don't like me? What if I, so then I waited all the way till Christmas, did one stream. Actually, I think I did 2 streams for like an hour that nobody came into. And then I was like, I don't know, I was really bad. And then my boyfriend, when he was like, you should stream, he was like, don't stream for an hour. That's not long enough time to let people come in. You have to stream for minimum 3 hours, minimum. And so still, I will stream at 3 hours minimum unless I'm like sick or something happens.
Do you find that gives enough time for enough people or different people to hop into your chat?
Yeah, definitely. I think 3 hours minimum is actually really good advice, because an hour really isn't long enough. I would say even like 4 hours minimum if you can, because 1 hour, it just isn't enough. Like, you just gotta let it build up a little bit more and give people a little bit more time to see you.
I know you talked about saying that you were kind of afraid to come out and tell your friends and family that you were doing this thing called Twitch.
Yeah.
I know that a lot of people live kind of like a secret life in that sense because they're afraid of what people might think. What kind of got you over that? Or are you still facing that right now?
No, I'm not facing that anymore. I got a little bit bigger, and I can't remember. I remember telling my mom though, and I remember I wasn't sure how she'd react. Like, she might think I was like camming or something. Like, I wasn't sure what she would think, but she was so supportive. Like, I couldn't believe it. She was like, that's so exciting. She even like came to me with ideas, and like she was like, she'll even still be like, oh, you should try this. Like, she's very smart. But yeah, she suggested I try mukbangs, and she thinks it's so cool. But I found out she tells people I'm a Twitcher, which sounds like I'm on meth.
Yeah, that sounds like a tweaker almost, right?
My daughter's a Twitcher. Like, no.
Is she stopping your stream and actually critique your stream?
She never has come into my stream because I was nervous about it. I think I told her not to come into my stream because I don't know. Sometimes I say cunt on my stream, and my mom really gets offended by that word. And I just think like the moment she clicks the stream, it's gonna be me
like,
saying that.
As soon as she kicks on, she's like, okay, I'm out of here, you know?
She'll be like disowned. Like, no, she wouldn't. But
Yeah.
That is my fear, is that I'll be talking about something like really gross or, something.
I hate to break it to you, but she's actually in your Twitch stream constantly, and her name is like Harvest Moon Lover, so.
My mom's just catfishing me.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. But
she's like my #1 viewer.
I see you have is that Venusaur on your mic?
No, that's Ivysaur.
Is it Ivysaur? Man, I don't know my Pokemon.
It's okay. That was really close. Basically,
it's not Bulbasaur. I knew it wasn't Bulbasaur. Yeah, that's why I knew it wasn't Bulbasaur, because I saw the little everything growing on it. I couldn't tell what it was though.
Bulbasaur.
Yeah, that's Bulbasaur. Yeah. It's the best. It's my favorite sorry, I knocked something over. It's my favorite Pokemon. I have this plushie that I keep next to the stream at all times. So.
Why is it your?
Have you seen Detective Pikachu?
Pardon?
Have you seen Detective Pikachu?
Yeah, I saw it. I liked it.
Do you think Ryan Reynolds pulls it off very well? I wasn't sure if he would, because I see his attitude in.
He pulls it off. He pulls it off for sure. Yeah. There's I think the one thing that maybe was and this is like a random kind of nitpick, is that sometimes the proportions of the Pokemon weren't quite right. Like, there's a Blastoise in it. Blastoise is supposed to be pretty big, but he was not even as big as the humans. So I was kind of like, oh.
Shouldn't that be like a Wartortle, or
No, it wasn't a Wartortle. It was a Blastoise.
I'm saying it should, if that was the evolution they could have chose, they would have chose a smaller one.
I don't know. Well,
is it bad? I don't know my evolutions of Pokemon.
If you're a Pokemon fan, definitely go see it. It's really good. You're not gonna cringe your way through it. It's not gonna ruin Pokemon for you at all. It's really neat. It's not a perfect masterpiece movie, but it's fun to watch. 100% fun to watch. So
yeah, that's how I would describe it. I think it was fun to watch, but I think when you kind of think about if you think too much about it, then you're going to be like, oh, wait, hold on.
Yeah, I didn't, I don't know, I don't want to spoil, so I won't say it.
I don't know anything about Pokemon, to be honest. I mean, I know some Pokemon, like I know Mewtwo and I know Pikachu, obviously, and I know Charizard and Charmander and all that stuff, but I don't know.
Okay, then you're good. That's the.
I mean, I guess is that all that is? I mean, I was huge on collecting the cards, but I'm gonna be 100% honest. I didn't really like know what the Pokemon were named. Like I kind of just like liked the cards. I was like, everyone else is liking this, let me like it too. And I just like collected all the cards and I was like, I'm cool too, right guys? But like Yu-Gi-Oh, I was kind of into that, but Magic the Gathering is really where I was at when I was a kid, but Pokemon not so much. I was trying to get into it, just couldn't. I don't know, something different.
That's fair.
I try to watch them and like, who's that Pokemon? Like I didn't know any of them, so I stopped watching that show.
I love Pokemon. Yeah. But the cards, I don't know. The cards were, I never played the game or collected them. My brother had cards. Sometimes I would like take one and put it in my pocket and keep it with me for a while. Like
I'm sure that made him angry.
That's what I did.
Whereas like you took like Ivysaur out of his evolution. He's like, how can I evolve it to Venusaur now when I don't have an Ivysaur card?
No, I took a Psyduck and a Bulbasaur and I just like, keep it in my pockets and go to school. And then every once in a while I'd be like, hey, you like Pokemon? Check this out. And it'd be Psyduck and I'd be like,
you just pull random Pokemon cards out of your pockets?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Dude, I was obsessed with Pokemon. I remember I was like, I couldn't wait to turn 10 because I was like, well then like I can be a Pokemon trainer, and like I was trying to think about what starter Pokemon I wanted. Yeah, did you not know that?
So
Obviously not. If I said what, I don't know anything about Pokemon.
In the TV show, whenever you turn 10 years old, you get to go to the Pokemon lab or wherever they call it, I guess. And I feel like it's like Gary Oak's lab, but I don't know if it's... Anyway, I'm getting too detailed into it. Anyway, so you got to go pick 3 starter Pokemon, and whenever, like the first generation is Bulbasaur, Charmander, or Squirtle. So you get to pick one of those.
Ooh.
And that was how your journey started.
Who would you pick then, I guess? Both of you.
Man. Well, she had obviously picked Bulbasaur.
Oh, of course. I figured that's why I said both of you.
I would pick Squirtle.
Oh,
so that leaves Charmander for you.
I was gonna pick Charmander anyway, so joke's on you. I don't know. I got into him, but the whole fainting thing kind of threw me off. They like would faint. I'm like, wait, they don't pass away. They don't die.
No, because that would be way too sad.
I know.
Killing Pokemon? No way.
Wait, what was?
No way.
Did you ever see the Pokemon movie? Didn't they all die? I swear, like at one point in time, and then they brought them back with tears or something.
Different.
Wait, no, they
like the Pokemon movie, the Pokemon 2000.
Maybe
that movie was sad and fucked up.
But didn't they like clone all the like? And they're like fighting each other and stuff, or I don't remember.
I don't really.
One
remember.
of them was.
I just remember.
Come on, Gypsy, help me! I don't know Pokemon.
It's been so forever. The only memory I have like a Pokemon 2000 now is my dad constantly reminding me how cringy the movie was. He's like, I had to sit through the whole thing.
Oh my god!
I'll never let that go.
Are you those your drawings in the background to see, or?
Yeah. So I drew these. I'm a very well-renowned artist. People commission me from all over the world to draw them.
I like it.
No. So I had a redeemable, like, you know, sorry, I'm not very eloquent. So there's chat points that you can earn in streams, and I have chat points. And for a while I had a thing where you could redeem a thing for like a large amount of dimes. They're called daddy dimes in my chat. And then I would draw you. So I did, what's that, 7? I did 7 drawings. And I don't do them anymore, but I'm not going to take them down probably for a while.
So how did you
They got lucky to get in early.
You got lucky, yeah.
I was gonna say, how did you come up with the lucky numbers? But that's, yeah.
No lucky numbers. They would just have a certain amount of dimes and then spend it, and I'd be like, okay. And then I draw them on stream and then put it on there. This one here is very disturbing. The perspective is really off. I don't know if you can tell, but he's kind of sticking his neck out, but his face is just planted straight. It's super weird. I feel really bad for him.
Did you ever see Santa Clarita Diet by any chance? You watch Netflix?
Yeah, I haven't seen it, but it has Drew Barrymore.
I was gonna say that kid in the background kind of looks like Eric in that show. I don't know if you know it, but I was just throwing it out there because it kind of looks just like him. At least from what I can see, it's tough to see.
That's good. That means that it looks like a human. I did my job drawing.
Yeah, it looks like a human. You're a renowned artist. What are you talking about?
Yeah, humans. They did good.
How did you come up with your name?
Oh, so I like the prefix rotten. I thought that is funny. Like, you know, like Robbie Rotten or like you rotten kids. Like it's meant to be kind of like
not the literal
rotten,
sense,
you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, not in like a literal sense of like rotten flesh or something. That's like what people will say to me, and I'm like, what? And then Poppy came after basically I was looking at a username generator trying to think of like what would be good to have as the next part of the username. And I was just like ballparking them to my boyfriend at the time, and I said Cappy, which is like a Australian animal, and he misheard me for Poppy, and I was like, that's funny, and now it's my username.
That's awesome. So you use a random name generator? Is that what you use?
Yeah, you can just like Google username generator and then put in like some stuff that you like or whatever.
That's how Post Malone got his name. So why
come up with ideas?
Why can't you use your own Twitch name like that? So that's a good way. I always try to I always struggle with figuring out names in general. I'm like trying to think of creative things, and every once in a while I use the generator. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, generators are really good. Also, like the Wu-Tang Clan name generator is really good too.
Wait,
sometimes
what?
you can get a cool one.
There's a Wu-Tang Clan generator?
Okay, that's how Childish Gambino got his name. With the Wu-Tang Clan name generator. Yeah, you just put in your first and last name, and then it'll tell you, like, it'll give you a name, and then, so say you don't like your combination, just fucking give yourself a cooler last name, see what happens.
I kind of want to do it now, because, like, his name is Danny Glover, and he went to Childish Gambino.
I tested it. It shows up. If you type in Donald Glover, it comes up as Childish Gambino.
Huh. That's really weird. I'm going to have to try it. I'm actually...
Definitely try. You might get a cool username or something.
I might. I'm seriously doubting. My name's extremely boring, but it's not
going to come up with like dead fish or something.
Probably. Right. Oh, I don't even know.
Pescador.
Yeah, I know, right? Oh my goodness. What is that also in the background? I'm admiring your background. There's it looks like a big stuffed animal behind your chair.
Yeah,
what is that
my mom made this for me. People used to be able to see it in the stream, but I changed the camera angle and stuff. Let me just get it.
She made that for you?
It's dusty. I just have to...
She is smacking it.
It's a big Pusheen. Like the biggest.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, my goodness.
I can't hear you. Sorry, I didn't put my headphone back on. Okay. Yeah, my mom made this for me for a present. And it's beautiful.
She's very talented, I'll tell you that.
Yeah, she can sew. I really like it, though. It's a great thing. It just sits back there, though. I should probably like use it as an actual pillow, because it's just collecting dust at this point. No one can see it anymore.
Yeah, you might have to like reorganize the background or something like that. I don't know. That's always like an interesting topic to kind of come for like streamers. Like, do I want to have a background or a green screen or, you know?
Yeah, my background sucks. I'm in my bedroom and I don't have any other places in my apartment where I can be. Like my desk has to be here. So I have the door and that wall to deal with. And then just like, I just mostly try to zoom in so that you can't really see much of what's happening in the background and then hope that's good.
You have some eclectic stuff back there, though. I mean, I
do have some stuff. I have a little record player and records, and then if you can see, I have a little cat face just peeking out right there.
Now that I see it, it seems a little creepy to me. Like it's like
creepy.
It looks like a vampire bat from where I'm at, basically, doesn't it?
That's what I was about to say. Yeah,
I bought it at a antique store. I really like it, though. Let me show you.
Oh, well, it is a cat then.
Oh, sweet Jesus. Its head's like cocked to the side, and its mouth is I call that a mush. I'm not gonna lie, that mouth is a red. It's really neat. It looks like what's that skull? What's that skull? The
Majora's Mask.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say.
Yes.
Yeah, totally, right? And it's
really neat.
It's kind of odd. It's made out of wood. I don't know. Somebody probably made it. I don't know what the fuck. The guy who sold it to me was weird too. He was like, "Oh, this guy is sassy. This guy's a sassy guy." Yeah, I was gonna buy this sassy piece of wood.
Well, now it's your background, so it's just kind of nice.
Yeah, I really like it. It's probably the coolest thing I own. And then I have I'll get the other two things that you might ask about. Hold on.
Ask. Oh man, what is she getting, Jimshi?
I have
looks like Legend of Zelda.
Yeah, it is.
Triforce.
It has it's a Triforce, and it has a USB, so it lights up. But the USB cord it came with was like really short, so like it would have to be right next to an outlet. So I mean, you can use any USB though.
Yeah.
Micro USB. But I keep it there, and there's not really.
Legend of Zelda fan, are we?
Yeah, if you have the room lit up, you can pretty much see the thing anyway.
Yeah, and then I have a little chest. There's nothing in here. There's a lighter, a flash drive, and some coins.
Yeah, I was like...
People always ask me, "What's in that box?" And it's
souls.
The worst thing you could ask me.
So how long
you gotta
have
put
you...
something interesting in there now, so that when people ask, you can be like, "Oh, you want to see?" And then you open it up, and you've got like garlic bread or something, and they're like, "What?"
Something super random,
like stale, like moldy garlic bread. Like I've been waiting for a really long time for someone to ask, and then I'm like, "Ooh, finally, someone asked." It's just fucking like stinky.
Oh, that's a Twitch game you can play. Guess what's in the box, and just like every week something new, just something really random.
That's a great idea.
Like a rotten hot dog, or you know,
it just be various rotting things.
Yeah, like why not? I mean, it goes with your theme, right?
Yeah, raw. Make my life terrible though. There's just a rotten.
Yeah,
food.
I just kind of thought about that for a second. I can't smell it, but you totally can. I kind of didn't think about that one. Yeah. So you're a Twitch streamer. You've been streaming for how long?
2 years.
2 years. And throughout your 2 years, have you faced any major obstacles?
Not really. Kind of like I've had to grow as a person. Definitely. There's like things that I've realized about myself. Like I had to really confront how I don't like set boundaries with people or address things when I'm uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Because I would just like let Twitch trolls run around in my chat and just be like fucked up, and I was just like, it's probably just me. And so I had to confront that I was dealing with that, and then I felt much better. But I genuinely didn't know that I like wouldn't tell people to fuck off when they needed to fuck off. Like I wouldn't. I'm still like in some ways I'm still learning in that regard, but I don't let people come in and just be like really mean and just be like, yeah, that's fine. That's fine. Just come into my stream and be really mean to me. Yeah, so that was a really that was kind of an obstacle for me, but like it was really healthy for me to realize that, and I don't know, it forces me to learn about myself and how I can better myself and how I come across to other people and how I can, you know, be better, and also building relationships with people. I noticed partway through streaming that there was like a certain way I was interacting with online friends, but I wasn't really interacting the same with my real life friends. And I realized that I was kind of a bad friend. I was just like super weird. Like I wouldn't talk to them all the time because I would get like anxious. I have an anxiety disorder. So I would just like get anxious about friendship. And then I streamed for a while and was like, I've been complicating my relationships a lot. And like, I can see now the barriers I've been putting between myself and the people around me. And I can see why I haven't been, you know, keeping friends or making friends, is because I'm not letting anyone get close to me. So after I realized that, it really benefited my life. So streaming has like had a really, really positive effect on me, actually. Like, such a positive effect. It's weird. You wouldn't think it would, but it really has had such a good effect on me.
So what positive things has it really changed in your life outside of streaming?
Well, the way I interact with people, it's also made me realize, like, I would get really stressed all the time because I would be talking to someone that I wanted to be friends with, and I would like have this like desperation feeling of like I need friends, because I didn't really have a lot of friends, and it would like matter to me so much what people thought about me, because like I needed them to like me because I needed friends. So I would like feel really weird. That's part of why I wouldn't tell people stuff, because I was nervous that they would judge me. I was trying to protect myself, you know, from being too vulnerable for getting hurt. But, you know, in the long run, I was just being like really weird with people. They'd be like, hey, what'd you get up to last night? I'd be like, nothing. Like every time, nothing. What about you? Like, I wouldn't tell them anything, not what shows I like, what I did. Yeah, like they had to bring up something that I was already interested in and already mention that they were interested in it, and then I could be like, oh, I like that too, actually. But otherwise, like you basically, it was like really weird to try to get to know me. So once I started to realize that I was like actually a likable person, and that it didn't matter if some people didn't like me, then I was like, oh, I can actually just act like myself and it doesn't matter. And that was huge. That was really good for me. I worked at Victoria's Secret, like I mentioned before, and I would say, you know, most of the girls that worked there didn't seem to like me very much. So it like bothered me for a while, and I was like, how can I get them to like me? And then one day this girl made this fucking snide comment at me, because one of my other coworkers came up to me and was like, hey, we're getting time and a half today. And I was like, really? And she was like, yeah, we're getting time and a half. And I was like, yeah. And I did like a little weird like dance, because like I was just really excited to get money, like and it came out like, I mean, who wouldn't, just by itself. Yeah. And this other girl was standing there, and she just like, I can't believe you have a boyfriend. I was like, what?
Oh.
And then I was kind of like, at first my initial reaction was to be like, what did I do to you? Like, why don't you like me? But then my second reaction was like, you know what? You suck. Like, I don't care if you like me. I know that other people think that it's fun when I act like this, and that is not an issue, you know? Like, it's kind of a dick move to be mad at people for being animated, you know? Like,
yeah.
Sorry you're boring, I guess. Like,
ooh, got him.
So after that, that experience in itself kind of changed my perspective of handling people around me, because I realized that the girls that worked there, a lot of them weren't very similar to me. Like, they didn't have similar interests. They, you know, didn't really like the same kind of things. They didn't, really like me. And that was okay, because other people like me, and I don't need someone else that isn't interested in anything that I am to like me. You know what I'm saying? We wouldn't get along anyways. So what's the point? Like, I need to change myself and dye my hair and fucking shop at a bunch of specific stores? Like, why? No. They want you to conform.
Be just like them. I had this same issue, actually. I have an issue still. I still struggle with it here and there, but when I talk to someone that I feel superior, like my boss or my boss's boss or something, I get like terrible, crippling like anxiety, because I feel like the way I approach them and the way they speak to them, they're going to judge me for the rest of my life that specific way, the way that they see me that moment. And I'm not going to lie, I bomb it when I'm around people like that. I can't speak. I can't talk. Like, just it just spews from my mouth. I can't talk. It's bad. Like, dude. People would just be like, no, I mean, it's part of life. I mean, people have issues with other different things, and that's my issue, unfortunately. But there's this guy that lives right down the street from me. He owns his own business or something like that, but everyone looks up to him in the neighborhood, and he always comes around my house and he'll say something Like, he is the slyest guy ever. Like, he'll say something really nice to you. He'll be like, hey, man, see you finished up the yard work. Yard looks good. And I'll be like, yeah, so does yours. And he didn't do anything like relating yard work. I'm like, why did I say that? Like, I'm such an idiot, you know? Like, it just like, I can't speak. Like, I can't think, and I don't know why it is, but I got to realize that it doesn't matter. But it's very hard sometimes in those moments to really, focus on that.
It's very difficult. If I can, this is my 2 cents. You don't have to do anything with this information, but as a person that also struggles with anxiety and social anxiety, I found that affirmations have helped with my anxiety quite a bit, because it's just like little reminders, like of like telling yourself every day, like, for instance, you could write, I'm likable. I like writing ones like, let me just get my book out.
No, yeah. So you keep a journal of these kind of things?
Yeah, I have several journals, but I keep affirmations, and then on Google Docs, I every day I just write it, because that way I'm saving paper. And also I feel like the act of writing it again, just it takes a little bit longer to type than to say it to yourself. So then that way, it kind of sits in my head a little bit longer.
Yeah.
So I think I have some some ones that are, like confidence building ones. Because I realized, so actually this is it can maybe fun story to hear, because I don't know if I've really talked about it in a public setting. But in December, one of my closest streaming friends got rated for 3,000 people. Oh. And that it was like crazy, right? Because we were both at 35 average viewers. So whoa, nice. And then when she was done streaming, she rated over to me with 1,000 people. And I was like, what the fuck? What? And I remember I got very tense, which, I mean, it does make sense, but I was very tense and I was embarrassed. I was so embarrassed. I felt like, I'm so stupid. Like, everyone's going to see I'm so dumb. And I had this sense of fuck, oh man, I'm going to blow it. Immediately I had this sense of I'm going to fuck this up really bad. And I realized that I had no confidence in the work that I was doing. And this is my job. I didn't want to feel like I was embarrassed to have people come to my stream. That's crazy. I want when people to come to my stream to be like, hey, it's me. Welcome. I'm excited to have you here. I don't want to be like, oh, sorry. I want to be excited to show people what I do. Yeah. But instead I was like, whoa, and I felt ridiculous. It was the worst thing. And so I started, that was my New Year's resolution, was to try to be more confident. And I started journaling, and I started doing affirmations, and really just every morning, taking that time to do that, and try to put myself in that mindset, and really, really making a conscious effort to, change my self-perspective. And it actually changed it in the next 2 months. By February, I was a lot different, and people would come into my stream and say, hey, you've changed since I started watching you 3 months ago. And I really do accredit it to that, just that effort that I was putting in. I didn't expect to have such a quick results, but reframing the way you think about yourself and the world around you really changes everything. I went to a hairdresser to get my hair did, and
nice.
Yeah.
And we became friends. First of all, I was sick and I had to drink cough syrup before I went. And normally I go to the hairdressers and I'm silent. And this was a 3-hour appointment. Hair like this takes a fucking long time. And I've been to hair appointments that have been 6 hours, and I've just sat there and not really talked, minimum conversation. And the whole time, I told her stuff about myself that I don't normally tell people. I wait a really long time to tell people certain things about me, because I'm this might be a deal breaker. I'll just wait. But I told her stuff right off the bat. Immediately I was it was hanging out with a friend. It was so great. And I didn't feel stupid or anything. I had so much fun. And then I was I need to hang out with this girl. I want to be her friend, but she's a hairdresser and she builds clientele, and she could just be very good with her clients. Some people are very good at making people feel like they're friends, right? Especially people that work in service. So I didn't want to be weird or anything, but we did swap personal Instagram accounts. And I started sending her memes here and there, just being here's a meme.
Yeah.
Here's a meme. Like, we were just sharing memes and like I would comment on her posts.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then one day I was like, okay, I just have to reach out. Like, you know, like, just do it. You got to put yourself out there, because if you don't take these chances, then, you know, you're never going to know, and it's going to suck. Right. So I just messaged her and asked her if she wanted to go to brunch, and told her I had a lot of fun with her. And she was like, oh my God, like, I've been wanting to ask you, but I thought it would be weird, so I wasn't asking you, but like, I would love to. And I was like, nice. And she invited me to her birthday. I made another friend with her friend. I sang karaoke in front of, I guess there was like 50 people there. I sang karaoke, killed it. People were complimenting me and telling me like, you did great. You did awesome at the karaoke. Like, that was awesome. The old man that ran it put my name on the board again because he liked it and made me sing another song. and it was, I don't know, it was just so cool. I've never seen myself like thrive so socially before. And I'm going to Pride with her and a bunch of her friends on Sunday, like this Sunday.
What?
And
would your old self do that? Or was it because of all the work that you've put in that you actually saw that?
100% the work that I put in, because I couldn't see myself doing that. I was nervous. I, you know, felt kind of unlikable and awkward, and just assumed, I had this mentality that always assumed that people didn't like me unless they already somehow stated that they liked me. Otherwise, I always assumed that people didn't like me, and then therefore I was putting off the vibe that I didn't like them, because I already thought that they didn't like me. So I wasn't putting in any effort to, you know, create a relationship with them other than like, oh, hopefully they, I guess, say something to me that gets me talking, which is, that's like an instant way to kill. Like, it was almost like self-sabotage, because I had a mindset of people don't like me, and they, you know, I'm an acquired taste and they need to get to know me and like all this stuff, which it just isn't true. And that's, you know, that's the thing about Twitch though, is people can like you without like all these weird gates that you would put in front of people to make sure that they like you. Like, if they see you talking openly about whatever the hell you could be talking about, and they jump in your stream, and now whatever, they're their favorite streamer, which kind of set me up to realize that making friends and relationships were a lot different than I had realized before. And now I lost my train. I had like a specific place I was going, and I don't know where I went. But I definitely wouldn't have done that before without the practice, because I was so much more anxious and just really held the belief that I basically sucked. And once I let that go and like let go of the idea that it mattered what people thought of me, and just started being like really authentic with people were like, whoa, let's hang out. Like, you're great. Because like, when you're putting all this pressure on yourself to be liked, you're usually not very authentic. You're like very stressed, and it puts people off a little bit.
Very rigid.
Yeah, exactly. Like, you're tense. Yeah. You're talking different. But when you're just open about it and willing to accept the fact that people aren't going to like you, and you're going to be okay if people don't like you, then things just get so much easier. Like, you know?
Yeah, I couldn't imagine.
It's a lot easier in terms of streaming, because you get like hate comments sometimes, and like you get people who come into your stream and be like, you're annoying, I'm leaving, and you know, it's dumb to write stuff like that. But it's also okay for people to unfollow or be irregular and then decide that they don't like the stream anymore because it's gone in a different direction or whatever. That's fine, you know? I think that having that kind of experience of people like getting used to people that I, you know, actually, because you kind of get to build a relationship with these people, and you start to get to know them and learn about their day and stuff like that. And then one day they're just like, ah, fuck you, and they leave. And then you're kind of like, you've kind of built this mental relationship with them.
Yeah, I feel like you'd be a little hurt by that.
Yeah, you definitely, the first times it happened, like it happened a couple times, I was definitely like,
It's interesting that they would like, go out of their way to say something about that. I think a lot of viewers would probably just like silently drift away, but they would have to actually come up and say like, hey, you know. Yeah. Well, sometimes you just notice, right? Because I've had viewers that I really liked, that I thought were really cool, that one day just stopped coming. And it's like, well, they could have stopped coming because something happened in their life, or they could have stopped coming because they stopped liking the stream. And you just have to just get no closure and just accept that. that's fine. It's okay. Yeah, because like like I guess like you said, like you don't always have to go, oh, is it my fault all the time for somebody like leaving my stream? You don't want to have to take the fault for everything, because like you said, they could just easily have something to do, or like maybe they just had a time in their life where they had, like you had, 2 months to kill, and you're like, oh, I decided to play Animal Crossing. Maybe they were like, oh, I'll just watch Twitch for the time being, and they found a couple people and then moved on to the next stage in their life, I guess you could say.
Yeah, and that's super common. So I think not taking stuff like that personally is really important. But also there's this idea, like when I was streaming, when I started, there were certain things that I wouldn't talk about or say or do or whatever. I was very much the same as I am with, well, I was with interacting with people. I was like, ah. But then over time, I started getting a little bit more vulnerable and sometimes sharing my opinions about things and seeing how that went. But at first, like, I'd be like, oh, well, someone might not like me if I say that, I have an opinion. Oh, I dropped my phone, but it's okay. But here's the thing. If you try to appeal to everyone and never share an opinion, you're actually appealing to no one, because people that share your opinions are going to really resonate with you and want to stick around. And sometimes, in terms of stuff like homophobia, right? You don't want someone homophobic hanging around you, probably. So it's okay to say, like, homophobic people suck. And then, that'll weed them out. And then people who think the same thing as you will stick around. I mean, that's a very broad example, but like, sharing how you feel about stuff is like a really good way to build relationships with people. And that goes for streaming, but it also goes for real life. Just telling people how you feel about stuff. If someone doesn't like you, that's fine. That's okay. As long as you aren't attacking them and they're not attacking you, it's okay for someone to decide that they don't like you, because someone else might hear you and share the same opinion and they'll like you even more, and then boom, you're friends.
Right. That's just how a lot of, you kind of foster that with your chat. Like if people have something they can resonate with, like if they come in your stream and you're like, oh, there's just like every other person that I watch, because they're always talking about, go happy things all the time. Not saying that that's a bad thing, but sometimes it's, being a little polarizing, because they can see like, oh, well, they can see what's unique about you. They remember you more, as opposed to just like, oh, when I talked to them, they were nice.
Yeah, exactly.
But then I think it's also to make sure you don't go too far on the other end where you're so polarizing that there's no one that agrees with you.
Or the crazies in the far left or right, they're just like attracted to you specifically, and that's a rough one.
It's interesting though, because marketing yourself by being super polarizing does work. We see a lot of it, but I wouldn't recommend it necessarily unless you want to argue with people all the time. But sharing how you feel about various things, even by saying like best starters, Bulbasaur, is good, because then other people that like Bulbasaur will like you more. When people tell me they like Bulbasaur, I'm like, that's a cool person. Like I like them a little bit more than I did before. So I think just letting people know how you feel is a really powerful thing. And that's actually one of my affirmations that I have written, because I sometimes won't tell people how I'm feeling about stuff, because I'm like, oh, I don't want to upset them. And, it's really good to tell people when you're uncomfortable, or that you would like something, or it'd be fun if you did this, instead of just always being like, yep, I'm agreeable.
Yeah. Right. But then you got to make sure that you're like you say, like, you don't want to go too far. You don't want to be like, so, always
Bossing
being honest. Because then
no.
some people are like, well, I didn't, sometimes it's better to say nothing than, something
sometimes
mean, right?
But it's really good to tell people how you feel. Like when people ask you genuinely, like, hey, what do you think of this? Like, or hey, like, what do you want to do later? Instead of like always being like, oh, whatever. Like if you actually had something in mind, like actually saying it is great. And like I feel like people always give you these opportunities when they're checking on you. And for me, I would always just give them the quickest, like most agreeable option, like, yeah, I'm doing good, or yep, everything's fine, and not actually say how I was feeling. So I've been working on letting people know if they ask me, oh, like, what do you want to do later? Or, hey, are you okay with this? Just actually telling them how I feel, because they are asking because they want to know.
That's a tough thing to do sometimes. I mean, sometimes when someone asks you certain things, it's nerve-wracking to tell them the truth sometimes, because it could actually hurt their feelings. And I've been put in many situations in which, like, they're like, hey, like, did I do something wrong? And part of me wants to be like, no, you didn't do anything wrong, because I value your, judgment. Like, I don't want you to judge me for being honest with you and telling you that you did do something wrong and you could have not have done that. And that that goes with, significant others or friends or family. That happens a lot.
Yeah, you got to do the sandwich technique, is what they say.
The sandwich technique.
A compliment, and then you give them your possibly negative opinion, and then you give them another compliment, so that when they get it, the average comes out to be somewhat of a good thing, and they're like, oh well, there's a lot of good things about what I'm doing, but the one thing that's bad, let me just bunch that up so it matches everything else I'm doing, as opposed to just being like, no.
Yeah,
that thing you just
definitely a good way of going about it. Always keeping in mind other people's feelings is good, but also one thing I'm working on is doing things based off of my own values and perception of good character, and not doing things based off of how I imagine other people might react to me. Because there's so many, with anxiety, you make up scenarios that are completely fabricated.
Oh, yeah.
Where you're like, oh, I want to tell someone this, but they're going to do this, and then that's going to lead to this, and then, then they're going to die, and, well, now I can't tell them. So doing things, it's that's actually one way that they say to build confidence, is to actually do stuff based off of your own values, because then you're valuing yourself, you're respecting yourself, and you're not doing things based off of this imaginary reaction, which in a lot of cases for me is not doing anything, right? If I'm nervous about something, I'll just avoid it. But now I try to do things that I need to do because I want to say something. Or also imagining, with anxiety, it's really good to imagine the best case scenario. So for instance, you got to tell someone that something they're doing is shitty and you're scared that they're going to react poorly. And so then you come up with this whole scenario, the worst case scenario that could possibly happen,
Yep.
Also thinking about, okay, what if this person handled it beautifully? What if they handled it absolutely beautifully? What would I say to them? And that helps a lot. Cause it's I
never really thought about it like that. Cause people always think of the negative things. I mean, it's just weird to think that thinking about it in a different manner, thinking about the positives. I honestly don't, and that's sad for me to say, but I need to start doing that. It's actually a really good technique.
And maybe trust the people around you sometimes just a little bit, maybe not to react completely insane, just having a little bit more trust and putting yourself in vulnerable positions. It is so nice to be vulnerable sometimes. That was the worst thing for me. 2 years ago, if you tried to put me in a position where I was vulnerable, I would fucking escape. No. But now, sometimes I'm okay with just telling people the truth. When I started streaming, a few months into it, my cousin who just had his 20th birthday died. He died. Tragically, it was awful.
Wow.
It was the worst. It's still terrible. But I didn't tell my stream. I just kind of left and was there's personal stuff, and left because I wasn't willing to tell them that I was going through something. So I didn't really have them supporting me or anything with that. I just kind of left and dealt with it. And there is something respectable about that, but it is nice to be able to tell someone hey, you know what? I had a family member die that was very dear to me, and I have to leave, just being a little bit vulnerable and telling people, because part of me thought that people would think I was playing it up for views or something, which wouldn't have happened. I think I had
right. You don't want to feel like you're
10
disrespecting
viewers.
him or anything by using it as
using it,
to...
right? And that was my fear. But no one's gonna fucking say that. And if they do, they're a piece of shit. Whatever. I don't care. Catering your content to some random piece of shit that might exist is really dumb. Frankly, you just be yourself. Just be yourself. Some random person that's gonna be a dick it's gonna happen, and it's why are you catering your content towards them? But I didn't say anything until a year later that it happened. I was hey guys, so it's been a while, but I wanted to tell you, remember when I left randomly? Well, someone close to me died, and everyone was like, what? Oh my god, I'm so sorry. And I see it all the time. Streamers will tell people when their dad dies or whatever, and that's why they got to take time off. And then some of them that are, that they're a little bit closer with will talk to them about it, and you can have this open conversation about people that you loved dying, and it's really helpful, and it can be very healing. But you have to put yourself in a position where you can, you have a chance getting criticized. But criticism really isn't all that bad. And like I get hate comments every once in a while, and it's mostly funny. But you just have to put yourself out there, because the things that can have these really adverse, like bad reactions from people can also have really beautiful reactions, especially these vulnerable moments. Like when I tell people I have an anxiety disorder, sometimes people relate to that and we can talk about it a little bit. And sometimes they ask me for advice. And I'm so happy that I can do that, because some people are ashamed to even have anxiety, or I also have panic and depression that I have to deal with as well. And people are ashamed to talk about that kind of thing. And it's like, you know, it's just a part of my daily life and I have to deal with it. And I'm happy to discuss it with people and, you know, maybe gives you some insight. I'm not a doctor. I can't help you. Everyone's different. But like talking to someone about it can help. And the same thing goes for you as a streamer. Telling people what's going on in your life can help other people as well. You know, it's good to put yourself in these positions of vulnerability. It also teaches you that it's safe to be vulnerable and just lets you be more open with your emotions. And that's a really freeing feeling.
We've talked about a ton of things. And I know we touched a lot about vulnerability, which is actually a new direction. I don't think we've ever talked about that in the podcast. And we talked about a lot about anxiety and how to cope with it. And I think it was amazing. But is there anything other than the things you've touched upon that you would really tell aspiring streamers to really try to do, or really to help them out find their confidence?
To find their confidence. Well, streaming in general, I think, can help build your confidence. Just because it conquers a sense of like a fear, right? Because there's a fear of performing in front of people and doing that. For me, like I said, like affirmations is where it's at. Just keep trying, and just kind of like going for the things that make you afraid is generally pretty much the best way to do things. I mean, unless like it's obviously dumb, like jumping off a roof is going to make you scared. Probably don't jump off a roof. But you know, like addressing people when they're making you uncomfortable is kind of scary. Trying to find, even asking, sometimes people get uncomfortable asking like for financial support from their stream. And I think there's a right way to do that and a wrong way, like being like, hey guys, you better sub to me or I'm going to quit streaming. You know, is obviously like, you don't want to do that because, you know, it's rude.
They might be like, do it then. Or for all you know.
Yeah, it's like, all right, I'll just go to one of the other millions of streams. Like, but just kind of going for those things. The fear of criticism, I think, is something that holds people back a lot, especially in the industry of like content creation. Yeah. And like, oh, people are gonna think I'm dumb. Like I do TikTok a little bit, and like not like I don't do like the lip syncing, like fast speed, like.
Are we talking stuff. Kesha? TikTok? Kesha?
No, it's an app.
Oh,
it's an app.
I'm like, you're doing a dance. I'm like, wait, I'm sorry. I'm missing something here.
No,
all kinds of stuff on TikTok. It's kind of like Musical.ly memes that turned into TikTok. So I saw that you did on your Twitter. You have some of the more meme ones, like the Pretty Boy swag.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So that's why the hand gestures, and you're like, I do TikTok. Like I'm like, I'm sorry, you danced to the. I was really confused for a moment, but I got you. Go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, no, it's so I do that a little bit, and I've been like, I really like the app. Like I look through it every day, and I'm like, ooh, look at all these funny jokers on TikTok. Like I really like it, but I was very scared for a long time to like actually try to make very many of them, unless I have like a really clever idea that I know is going to do well, because I'm like, I want people to think I'm a cringy TikToker. And you know, it's okay for people to think you're cringy or whatever, because the thing is the people that criticize you are usually 1% of all the people that are excited about whatever you're doing. So the fear of criticism is really toxic in the terms of trying to create stuff, because then you come up with reasons why people won't like it and then decide that you don't want to do it. So again, it's also kind of going back to doing things based off of your own character and values, and not based off how you imagine other people will react. Because there's times when I'll post a picture on Instagram and be like, oh, like, I think maybe my face looks weird in this one, but I also kind of like it. I'm going to post it. And then it does better than all my other pictures. And I'm like, oh, well, what the hell? Like, I made up a situation where people were going to tell me that my forehead looked big or something weird. And then I almost decided that I wasn't going to post it. And that's really going to hold you back. Like, that fear of criticism, it's okay to be criticized, because sometimes there's actually good information in the critique.
Yeah.
If it's not just pure hate, sometimes it's actually helpful. And if you can separate yourself from your work a little bit and not take stuff super personally, it helps a lot, because a lot of us as streamers are trying to build a business. And only recently, I guess since December, have I been able to separate myself from my numbers and just be like, oh shit, it was a slow day. Well, I was kind of tired, so... without being like, well, guess that means I suck.
Time to quit Twitch. Yeah, like, I know a lot of people have that where, like, they have, like, their good weeks, and then suddenly when they have a couple of days where, like, it doesn't seem like it's going any, you know what I mean? Like, they have, like, an upward trend, and they hit the plateau. They're like, well, this is as far as I'm getting, And they're already, like, they're ready to just give up,
Yeah. Yeah. That's really not good. I used to get really anxious about my view numbers, which is so weird now, because now it's like I almost don't even understand why anymore. And that was like literally like just a few months ago that I was getting stressed about it. So, but now by this time I don't look at, like, if I'm having low viewers, I'm like, oh, that'll go up at some point. Like, I'm just gonna keep doing what I'm doing. And it's okay. And I don't take it personally. But for some reason before, I would take it super personally and think, like, now I suck and people aren't going to watch me anymore. And that's the end. Like, I'm going to have to quit streaming and, like, go on this whole, like, ride in my mind of everything is terrible.
Yeah.
Which is, it's anxiety. But it's, it's really getting better. And it really helps not to take these numbers and everything personally and just like, oh, that stream didn't do that well. That's all right. Let's, and then maybe sometimes if you can handle it, figuring out why, that's also really, really handy. But it takes kind of some self-reflection. But as long as you can understand yourself as a human who sometimes has off days or sometimes says weird stuff that puts people off, which is going to happen to literally everyone, that's, then I think you can be like, oh, I said that thing and I think that made people want to leave because it was maybe a little polarizing, or I got too serious, or I got too angry at the video game at this part or something,
Right.
It wasn't very entertaining. That it really helps not to be like, well, I got angry at the video game and I'm a piece of shit, don't deserve this job.
Right. Well, I think all of that is some really good advice. But yeah, thanks so much for coming on the podcast. We really did enjoy this interview.
I enjoyed being on here.
Thank you. And thank you for listening to this episode of the Rad Gaming Podcast. You can check out our guests by clicking the link in the description.
Be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel and rate and subscribe to us on iTunes or wherever else you listen to podcasts.
We release a new episode every Wednesday and Friday. And as always, stay rad, comrades.